G'day folks, welcome to an EcoFarmers Discovery, the audiobook companion podcast. Join Ewan Campbell as he takes a deep dive into his book, uncovering all the secrets of soil health, biology, and true farm independence. You can listen along to his book on Spotify or download from Audible, and then catch us here as we deep dive into the events of each chapter. Okay, now we're up to Chapter 4. Let's go. Okay. Chapter 4, Land of Milk and Honey. So your brother departs.
Yep.
When he decides to move on to the South Island, did it make you reconsider your own path and change the farm's dynamic?
No, I just bought the rest of the cows.
Okay.
It just like I didn't hesitate. I sort of thought, why are we working? Well, the opportunity came up. There's the cows. And can I find the money to buy the rest of the cows? And I did.
You know, I'm a bit of a dummy in some of these questions. So, like, price per head of beast, what is the sort of the rate you buy it off when you're buying it off a family member?
The same as what is out there in the whole big wide world.
Right.
I think the first lot of cows I made $400 I paid, or I think, and then paid $600 for the next. I mean, they're about $2,000 now, but I mean, we're looking at early 90s.
Right.
In fact, I think the cows are cheaper.
Oh, so that's something that someone reflecting back on will go, $400.
Yeah.
This is what they're paying now.
Well, totally. I think at $2,000 for a dairy cow now, in reality, it's probably cheaper in real terms than what was going on at the time.
Right, right. A model farm. You describe a nearby farm as the ideal. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, it was just one that we did quite a lot of reciprocal work with dairy, baling hay, and you were on that farm. I was on that farm reasonably often. And they were good farmers. Like, there's no doubt about it. They were very good farmers.
Yeah.
80 hectares, and it was all usable. It was nice and flat, and they didn't have all these horrible drains that we had. Had a good silty loam with a sand base, so it just drained well, and it didn't get overly wet.
Lucky them.
Lucky them. Well, yeah. Well, I suppose it was the great dichotomy. We were only 3 kilometres one way down the road, and we dropped into the peat swamp. And I guess that's why it was cheap when Dad bought it.
Did you ever test the difference between their soils and yours?
Over time, I've absolutely know exactly what's going on and how it works and what we should have done differently and all sorts of things. And yeah, which brings you to the point where, well, man, could we make that peat farm rock and roll now? But I don't want to go back and milk cows.
No.
I certainly don't want to live on a main road either.
Yeah, good point. What was it about their farm that you thought, or should I say, influenced you?
It was simplicity. Like, it was just so simple. They milked cows. When they made hay, we saw them making hay because we were picking up the hay bales and we stuck it in the shed, and that was it. Like as far as silage or anything, that was their only extra work. And it's like, for me, I was going, this just makes more sense, because at the end of the dairy farming time, we had to just do so much. Just straight into cultivating paddocks and cleaning drains and mole ploughing and regrassing, and they didn't do any of that.
Yeah, actually, that sort of brings me to this next question. And with being busy all the time, modern farmers, have they got the balance right, or are they just busy all the time?
No, they got themselves into where we were. And that's what I really discussed in the book, was about how I believed I wanted to get out of this busy, because I'd seen what was going on down the road. And I'd see these fishing boats going off to the Firth of Thames, and I was ploughing, or people would drop in, you want to come fishing? I got 20 acres to plough, and then I've got to put that in grass, and then put the mole ploughs in and do this. And if I don't do it before winter, then it'll be too wet and blah, blah, blah. And it was on and on it went. And they didn't have to do that. And so they were getting higher production and less work. And it sunk in on me. I just I can't handle this anymore. I'm milking cows. It was all right to break in peat land and run beef cows, but to do it with dairy cows and still continue to improve the soils and carry on and do it, and just too much.
Right, so low input success is the ideal formula. Do you think there's a misconception in farming about the need for high cost inputs to succeed?
Well, the companies have pushed it that way, and it's been pushed very hard by Dairy New Zealand and other outfits too. And I can just categorically say it doesn't work. I mean, we were at that point very good at growing low-cost crops, doing a lot of the work ourselves, so it wasn't outside contractors. But when I see it now, dairy farmers are either buying maize or growing maize. They're destroying their soils by spraying them out and using all these nasty chemicals, and then they wonder why that won't grow afterwards. Whenever we grew crops, the grass actually grew better afterwards because we looked after the soil and we got the lime down deeper and we got a better soil base and everything like that. But that's not what happens with the systems that these guys have got in place. And so then they stack more cows on, they make themselves work harder, and then they find trouble getting labour. It's a continual beat up, and the cost of production has gone through the roof, further than what we were at when we were on the peak and percentage-wise.
Yeah. Okay, so with all the activities on a farm, calving, mating, cropping, all the work you had to do, and with what I understand is your philosophy now, did you have a defining moment when you were like, I can't do this shit anymore?
It just, like, probably...
Or like this.
Like this. I mean, when you're sitting on a tractor and it's 25 degrees and there's dust coming in and it's hot and steamy, and that you know that in another 15 minutes you got to knock off and go and put the cows through the shed, and it's hot and steamy and they're flicking their tails and bits and pieces, it was just like, this is not right, and I can't get myself out of the hole fast enough. And instead of going, well, I should go and get another share milking job on an easier farm, I just bought the bullet and bought a farm.
Right. Did it your own way.
Yeah. Well, and it's proved that by doing it my own way, it's proved reasonably successful, I would say.
Yeah. Can you take me back to that time with the maize seminar and the shock from that?
Oh, it was appalling, really. You know, I thought I was going to see the seminar. I'd been invited along by the dairy company because we bought maize seed, so we thought they better get me along and see what I could learn from growing maize. And it was just a death. I might as well have gone to the funeral home. So, well, first off, you spray it out. Then you cultivate it. Then you put in a fungicide. Then you put stuff down the chute. Then you do this. And I just said to the guy, I said, well, what's that do to the worms? And he just shut up. He wouldn't say anything. I said, it kills them all, doesn't it?
Yeah, you challenged him, didn't you?
Yeah.
You challenged that conventional wisdom. Is that a tough thing to do in front of a group of people?
Hell no.
Oh, okay. Because you're a farmer and
well,
you're a tough guy.
Stupid is as stupid does. I mean, it's no point standing around pontificating afterwards. It's like, you're fucking mad. And sorry with the effing, but you're mad. And but there was people there that jumped on that they were going to do it. And I just couldn't believe it. Where was the profit margin? There was no figure put out by them to say, if you do this, you'll increase your production by this, so much dry matter, and you'll come out the end of it, which I could see it was a negative straight away.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is you've got the sort of personality that would highlight an issue like that. But some people just don't feel comfortable with it. You know, there's a whole group of people there, and some of them will be thinking, this could be mad, but, the guy's in authority. He says, he seems to know what he's doing. Everyone's listening. The
questions you don't ask yourself are the detrimental ones for your future. Yeah. And that's just it. It's like you can make, I've made plenty of dumb decisions, but it's been my decision to ask, push, try it out. But from some of those dumb decisions, some amazing discoveries have come about from me doing silly things and going, oh, that didn't work, but what the hell's going on with this over here? And off you go. And, it's amazing how people have followed this doctrine knowing that it doesn't work. They bloody well know it doesn't work, but they still follow it.
Yeah. Let's talk about earthworm health. You're outspoken about the importance of soil biology. Do you think, or why do you think practices that kill soil life still persist, despite what we know about the earthworm benefits?
It's pretty simple, really. All soil biology has a function that can be mimicked by a manufacturing company.
Right.
Okay, so if the cyanobacteria are working in the soil, they'll produce nitrogen. And everyone says, oh, look, the research says is, when clover does this, it'll create nitrogen in the soil. And that's to do with the reaction in the nodules with these particular biome that create the nitrogen. You can actually have these bacteria, cyanobacteria, working and creating nitrogen for you. If you spray your ground, they'll die. End of story. So you replace that with Kapuni Nitrogen Factory.
Okay.
So they sold it to you instead of you doing it yourself.
Right.
Okay. So when you look at this whole process of decomposition and that, so then if you don't have good earthworm and biological systems in the soil, where the earthworms eat the trash and clean up the mess, part of that is facial eczema, which we talked about in the last chapter. And it's like, so you have to buy a spray, but the spray kills the fungi, the worms have nothing to eat, they're gone. So now you're beholden to the spray manufacturer. And because those biology in the soil recycled the nutrient and then made the grass grow, well, now you're beholden to the fertilizer company. And now because we haven't got all the right minerals in the soil to actually keep the biology functioning, now we have an animal health problem. And we spoke about that earlier on about the selenium and what it had affected on the cows and that sort of thing. So there's no interconnective that, if you look at the soil, is an absolutely complete manufacturing system for growing grass, which needs all of these things. And we should look at our soil like that. It's not wow, woo, woo. You can test, measure and everything. You can actually go, oh, it needs this and it needs that. And look what it's done here. Keep an eye on the soil. Watch the carbon grow. This is all the result of your soil manufacturing a productive system for you.
Right.
And they love you for it.
Yeah, true.
And you didn't have to go out there and pay them every day.
Now, I think it was in this chapter that you say having information keeps people from being easy targets. Do you think farmers today have enough access to information?
Not really.
Because in our conversations, I sort of feel like you believe that there's an approach to farming that we're fed and it's really simplified and not the full story.
No, it's not at all. There's a total division right through all of farming for certain purposes. And if you go to the university and if you're looking at what we've done over time, you've got to talk to geologists, you've got to talk to animal health people, you've got to talk to microbiologists, you've got to talk to soil people, you've got to talk to... So if you really want to solve a problem, you might have 7 or 8 different aspects talking about the issue. And that's the water quality in this part here. And none of them function without each other. They can't do it. But they don't. They silo themselves off so that one gets a particular amount of funding. And I remember, talking to a guy on a flight down to Christchurch, and he invited us across to Hamilton. And he was a water scientist. And we were talking about this stuff and how it works and that. And he says, do you know what your problem is? I said, got no idea. He says, you cover too many bases. And
but shouldn't a farmer have all of those bases covered? Because they are their own petri dish of experimentation in every field, right?
Totally. And they should have tools of people that can actually help them get a water test. Or, look, I don't know that, but I'll ring up old so-and-so and get him over here and ask him what the effect of that is.
Yeah.
And some of the greatest learning I've had from the soil side of things is actually from geologists. They understand a lot more about the magnetic fields of the earth and a whole lot of other stuff than a soil scientist. They've got a way better grasp on things.
That's fascinating, actually.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. It's just siloed into certain aspects, and it's a damn shame. And so, I've been through the middle of it, and I'm still going, and I'm quite happy to actually tell people how this really works and where it comes from, and stay completely open to. I don't care where the information comes from. If we need it, let it come.
So I get that it's important to question authority. I'm hearing that, but is there a time when the authority's right?
Haven't seen it.
Really? Okay.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'd love to be proven wrong, but I haven't seen it.
But there must be. I mean, even you're an authority on some things, right? Because you've got a great deal of experience with the soil testing and the understanding of the missing nutrients and things that go on. So, I would trust you if you gave me advice on something that was important like that.
Well, well, let's put it this way. Okay, from when I first started doing experiments on Farm on Woodland Road in Waihi and started looking at and discovering things, I dealt with a guy from Meat and Lamb in Wellington, And I spoke to them so many times. He became the chief executive. He's now the head of Osprey. And there was there was 3 or 4 people there that I was talking to all the time. Not one of them ever came to the farm. I managed to drag a couple of the people that were on the board, some farmers at the time, and they loved what we did, but it was confounding to them. And so it never went any further. And it was like, how do you learn if you don't change things? I mean, how do you make changes if you're not actually willing to go, well, this is actually worth a look at? It's a bit left field, or he's got a basis, but there's no need for them to. They still pick their pay packet up at the end of the day. We don't. We pick up the pain.
Yeah, they can carry on.
And they do. And they charge us for it too. I mean, I hear plenty of people complaining about Dairy New Zealand because they get so much money off each farm and they're supposed to do research for them. I know damn well it's the same with the organics. They haven't done 1 ounce of research for the organic dairy farmers, and they want them to hand over all their results and all this other stuff, and they just look at them and go, why would you do that? You take our money and don't do anything for us. Wow. And if you have that sort of a process where people can take money and there's no responsibility, you don't get progress.
True. Okay, so coming up towards the end of this chapter, dreaming of a new life, what finally pushed you to start looking for a new block of land?
I think it was one very, very hot, sunny summer day about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was walking the cows to the cowshed, and I made a decision on the spot at that stage. And going, I'm not going to milk you guys tonight. This is killing you guys. And I went. They didn't want to go to the cowshed, and I actually managed to run around in front of them and just drop the wire and let them walk straight to their paddock instead of going to the cows. And at the time, I think my mother got quite uptight. It was like, bloody Shermock, you can't just not milk the cows. And go, well, I wouldn't have. It wouldn't have worked. It was just that hot, and they were just, I was just milking cows for the sake of milking cows, not for production or anything else. And it was about 2 weeks later, it rained, and we had a lovely season. And in the end, and I didn't put them back on twice a day, and we did really well from the whole process. But what it came from was going, why would I want to milk twice a day? Oh, I'm at the behest of somebody else. I was actually at the behest of just my mother, because that's what other people do. You got to milk twice a day. You got to make the money. And it was quite simple to say, well, actually, Mum, I got the paddocks ploughed and I got the drains done and all the other stuff a hell of a lot quicker and better, and the farm's a lot better for you for not having to work, but I wasn't in control of that. I was going to get forced back to milking twice a day again, and I just this isn't me.
What did you look for in the qualities of a fresh new life?
Look, I went down. We were just down at Raparo at some friends, and we went and had a look at this place. It was just going to see some friends or whatever. And I go, shit. And they said, they're thinking about selling. And I thought, bloody hell, this would be a bit up my street. And anyway, nothing came of it. And I just was talking to a couple of people and my father-in-law at the time. And I said, well, look, I'm sort of looking about getting out. And he, well, go and start looking.
Yeah.
So I did. And, I just wanted to get off the main road, get out of the heat of the peat in the summer, and, start to do something with a bit of logic to my life.
Yeah. Cool. All right, see you in the next chapter.
Good on you.
Follow along with your own hard copy of the book from efa.nz or listen to the audiobook on Spotify and Audible.